Hey, what's good? It's Castro Beats, and today I'm gonna show you how to level your beats so that your 808 and your kick is really punching through the mix and giving you that professional sound. So I'm gonna turn off my master, and then I'm gonna go through my process. So I'm gonna highlight the first 4 bars of the hook, and I'm gonna start bringing up some sounds little by little. So I'm gonna start with my bell. See, it's about like -24, and that's decent. That's a decent level. It could be a little bit louder, but I think that's good. So I want that guitar to be sitting a little bit behind the bells. I got it a little bit more stereo than the bells too. I'm gonna add in this arpeggiator. Now I'm gonna add in my bass. I'm actually gonna mess around with putting this a little bit stereo just because I have an 808 too. And I want it to sound like two different things are happening when we moving in and out between the 808 and the bass. All right, that's pretty good. Let's move to the 808 section, the 808 and the kick. All right, now if you're looking at this from an individual standpoint, it may seem like the 808 is way louder than everything else if you're just looking at the levels. But you have to take into account all 3 of these are playing. So it's louder than, let's say, -24. All 3 of these combined aren't at -24. It's probably around the same as the 808, if not like a little bit lower. But the 808 sounds a little bit harder and louder because, number one, they're panned left and right and added a little bit of stereo to them. And the 808 is mono, so it's sitting in a different place in the mix. The 808 is pretty much sitting in the middle and everything else is sitting on the sides almost. Not completely, because you don't want to lose some of that frequency information if you move stuff too far out to the sides. But yeah, so I'm gonna start adding in the kick. Snare. I'm actually gonna boost up this snare. I'm gonna use this clip function. All right. Just because it sounds like super low, and I don't want to have to bring the fader all the way up just to give it some volume. So let's listen to it now. That's a lot better. All right. Now that that part's done, everything's leveled there. I'm gonna turn up my transitions, my tag, and I'm gonna hear it from that maybe like 2 bars out from the drop right into the hook. So let's listen to it. Turn that up a little bit. Now it's important to leave yourself space because if you're putting this up on YouTube or BeatStars, excuse me, YouTube or BeatStars or even SoundCloud, it's gonna be streaming, and most people are gonna be hearing it on their phone and on their headphones, and you want it to be loud. Now it's a different story if you're making a beat on the spot for an artist, and you may have an engineer that can mess around with it. That's different. But right now, I'm just addressing the people who don't have that and sell most of their beats online or even collaborate and work with artists online. You want your beats to really be loud and really have that punch and not get distorted because they're too loud. So I'm going to go through my little presets. And this isn't even like super detailed mastering. Like I do way more detailed mastering when I'm mastering an actual song. This is more of just to boost the volume up to like a streaming level. So I'm gonna do one by one. I'm gonna mute these. So number one, I start with an EQ. What I do with the EQ, I just cut out some of the super low end that you're not really gonna hear anyway, but it will muddy up your mix if it's in there. So I cut that, and I cut some of the highs just so you don't have like that hissing or anything, any like artifacts like that in your mix. Then I use a compressor, the SSL compressor. I like this one. I use the subtle glue preset, and I mess around with the knobs until I get like a good compression rate, which I'm compressing probably like 1.5 dB or 2 dB. See, it's barely moving, but I'm also boosting up the makeup gain 3.6 dB. So that's making it a little bit louder, but it's also gluing the track together. Now I use my limiter. So my limiter is basically just giving it a ceiling so that when I do start boosting up the volume, it doesn't go above 0. Because if it goes above 0, it's going to start distorting. It's going to sound crazy. So I leave it at negative 0.1. I turn this all the way down, which is the release, because it's actually compressing it once I set my threshold. So I'm going to play it real quick. So if you look right here, it's showing you how many dB is compressing. So it's about like negative 6 dB. But since I have the release so quick, it's not really clamping down and making it sound super compressed. All it's doing is just raising up the volume. And you can accomplish the same thing with the Fruity Limiter, which people always talk about like, as if it sucks and like all this other shit. And to be honest, it's the same thing. People just love brand name stuff, you know. They'd rather say they got the newest and coolest thing than to say like the shit that comes with your program does the same job. But I'm gonna show you exactly how to do the same thing I just did with this waves limiter, the L1 Ultra Maximizer. I'm going to do it with the fruity limiter. So I'm going to set this to negative 0.1, like I had that one. And now I turn down the attack, release, and sustain, just because I don't want no compression on here. I really just want it to boost up the volume without distorting. So now I'm going to play it and start raising up the volume. Now, you want to tell me that sounds bad? I don't know what's wrong with your ears. But I'm going to go back and forth between the fruity limiter and the other limiter I use. So look. This is the fruity limiter. This is the waves limiter. I mean, if there is a difference, I can't really tell. And I'm pretty sure a rapper that isn't an engineer is not going to be able to tell the difference if you use a fruity limiter or not. So basically, moral of the story is it does the same thing. Now, some people might want to go in here and use an EQ to boost up some highs and like give it a little boost on the bass end. I don't think I need a boost on the bass, but I will hear how it sounds with a boost on the highs though. Actually sounds pretty good, so I'm gonna leave it like that. So thanks for watching. If you want to see more like this, let me know in the comments. Leave a like, go subscribe to my YouTube.